Is there any pluralization in Indonesian foreign policy after reformasi? If there is, how the Islamic political parties and interest groups has participated the foreign policy making after reformasi? Or how can they influence the Indonesian foreign policy after reformasi? Today, I will talk to you about the pluralization of Indonesian foreign policy after reformasi in the context of participation of domestic actors in foreign policy making. I must say the reason I choose this topic is that after a long literature review, I came to the conclusion that there are some but certain shortcomings on the problem of pluralism in Indonesian foreign policy making. Generally, it's mentioned in the literature that the foreign policy of New Order regime was completely conducted by President Suharto and the generals around him. So the influence of civilian institutions such as Minister of Foreign Affairs was less. Apart from this, since the Islamic political parties and Islamic groups were seen as a threat to the New Order regime at that time, their role in politics was highly restricted. And clearly, this makes the New Order a very strong statist. On the other hand, in the Reformasi era, what we know about Indonesian foreign policy is that many Islamic parties such as PAN, PKB, and PKS have emerged and entered a coalition. Besides that, the role of Islamic institutions such as Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah in politics has increased. And suddenly, the Reformasi period has begun to be called as pluralist. However, the question is, how and in what way these Islamic political parties and interest groups influence the foreign policy making in Indonesia after reformasi. Drawing on the case of pilgrimage as the main focus of Indonesian foreign policy towards Saudi Arabia, I try to explore the pluralist structure of Indonesian foreign policy. The case of pilgrimage is relevant to understand this problem for two reasons. First, the growing role of Islamic parties such as PAN, PKB, and PKS in policy-making process opens up the chance to be a coalition government and influence the foreign policy-making process as never before. And since Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah as interest groups constitute the bottom base of these mentioned parties, the representation of these interest groups in politics is possible through these political parties. And second, the pilgrimage is one of the most important issues for Muslims in Indonesia, which makes Islamic political parties continuously work on this issue to gain political support from their constituents. Thank you for listening to me. Terima kasih. Selamat sore.